Hey everyone, welcome to the Confessions of a Consultant, tips on how to make it or break it in IT consulting. I'm Chris Ward, and of course joining me, my very good friend and fellow trainer here at CBT Nuggets, Mr. Jeremy Cioara. Jeremy, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be here. This is going to be a fun webinar, very non-traditional topic. It actually was inspired by the ITIL series that Chris was doing, and he and I both do a lot of consulting in the real world. So he came up with the topic, and I was like, man, I'd love to jump in on that.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. One of the things that I know you and I talk about is that when we do this training, a lot of times people are going to say, wow, we're learning Cisco and we're learning Microsoft and we're learning all these things, but you know, it's great for our work, but maybe, just maybe, we can take all this knowledge and use it to benefit ourselves and become maybe more independent. Now, I know that we don't really have a way of doing a show of hands. I should have done a poll. And, you know, I always think about doing these polls later, but I'm sure a lot of you have a background in at least IT. And so one of the things that we want to tell you is that when you are doing IT consulting, it's always good to start from the basics, right? In other words, learning and understanding things. But a lot of times, people will want to know, Jeremy, because I know that you, not only are you a great CBT Nuggets trainer, but you actually own your own business doing IT consulting.
Yeah, it's a radically different world, and it actually my company. If ever I saw one of the questions coming in, how do you get client number one? It's actually easy. I mean, I know it sounds funny for me to say that. You're like, well, that's the hardest one to get. It actually isn't. It's the easiest thing to get is clients. The hardest thing is to actually do it right, because there are a lot of companies out there that are struggling. And I'm not talking, don't for your first client, don't go knocking on the door of Intel and saying, hey, can I consult for you? You want to go to, you know, Melinda's Pampered Pets, and, you know, they've got two computers sitting at the front desk and be like, hey, just to let you know, I do IT consulting, starting a new company in this area. Wanting to know if I could help out, and you know, maybe you offer it for free for 3 months or something like that, just to show them what you can do, things like that. So, sorry, Chris, you asked me something totally different. So yeah, getting client number one is actually really easy to do. It's keeping them. I've actually I started that 5 years ago. I started a company that's now up to 20 full-time employees that does nothing but IT outsourcing.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Now, so let's ask ourselves, number one, why do we want to do IT consulting? Because that's always a good thing. Should I do it or shouldn't I do it? Maybe you have an interest in doing it, but you're not sure whether this is the time to step in. So, well, there's a couple of reasons why you might want to do it. Number one, and this is the one most people take a look at, and that is more money. Now, what I've done here is I've actually taken a little bit of information data from Glassdoor.com, which is just a website out there that talks about salaries. Now, we understand many of you are not from the U.S., and that's fine, but the point that I'm trying to show here is the difference between a service desk, a standard entry-level position where maybe you've been there for a while and you're answering phones and helping people recover passwords and, oh, I installed this software, why isn't it working, and walking them through things, versus a base IT consultant. And you can see that there is a percentage jump between the base salary of a help desk and an IT consultant. In fact, Jeremy, you like this. We actually beat the national average here in Phoenix, Arizona. So both Jeremy and I live in, we live in the Phoenix, Arizona area, so that's why we do that. But you know, the money is fun, but it's also more flexibility. Many of us, when you're sitting, I would say that, Jeremy, you're a good example. A cube is not where you do your best work, is it?
No. It's always out and about. And really the difference between the on-staff help desk, service desk employee and the IT consultant is, obviously, you can see it right on the screen. It's money, but it's also, you know, you can sell your soul to this career. You could, you know, you start in IT consulting, you're like, hey, this is pretty sweet, I like it. And before you know it, you're sitting at home thinking, okay, well, I work from home, but I now work from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every night. I'm always on call because I'm trying to scale this thing to the next level, and I need help, and I can't afford help. And I mean, so doing it right, setting yourself up for success. I mean, I go back to that question that which was somebody typed in saying, how do I get client number one? I just keep thinking, oh, it's so easy, and if I could go back and do it again, I would get client number one so differently. You think, oh man, I can do this. So really, between those two that you see on the screen, it's how much commitment of your time, and that's really the only resource that you have. How much commitment of your time do you want to put into this, and that's what ends up reflecting in the salary.
Yeah, definitely. And so the money, the flexibility, but there's also more challenges. If you do the same thing every single day. And I think, what was the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and again and again and again. So sometimes having challenges is a good reason to do it. Now, there are also reasons why not to do it. And Jeremy, you kind of touched on this. More responsibility, more risk. You are now the owner of a company. Jeremy, you have 20 employees that now look to you to make sure that they get a salary, right?
Yeah, and it depends on how big you want to grow it. Sometimes you will keep IT consulting. This is what most people do. They keep IT consulting as a sole proprietorship, where it's essentially all them. They do the billing, they do the business side, they do the consulting and all that, and that's great. But you can only scale that so big. So before you get into IT consulting, and most people aren't going to say, all right, that's it. I'm leaving the day job and I'm going to be an IT consultant. It usually starts with a relationship that you have. Maybe you're talking on the phone to somebody and they're like, hey, maybe you could help me on the side, something like that. It starts like that, and you end up on the weekends and the evenings and all that. But essentially, know that those little organic beginnings quickly move into more responsibility, more risk. When I started my company, Chris, I didn't mean to start a company. I was totally happy doing what I was doing. It just, I stepped into a position where I was like, this is a good idea in terms of helping somebody out, and it just grew faster than I ever thought. And before I knew it, I was working the 80, 100-hour weeks myself.
Right. And then so another reason, you kind of touched on this, is you love the technology and all those things, but hey, the business side, paying people salaries, handling the legal side of things. Obviously here in the U.S., we have certain responsibilities as owners of companies and bosses for our people that the government puts in place. And I'm sure in your country, wherever you're from, there are also different perhaps legal reasons or legal things that you need to be concerned of. And so if you love technology, but you don't want to have to deal with the business side of it, meeting with the clients all the time, handling the person now that you're the boss and you have people working for you, and they're the ones that go, well, I want to take a vacation right in the middle of the largest, layout and rollout of a new technology, and you're like, I got to deal with that. So that's probably a good reason why not to do it. If you're just into tech, work for maybe somebody that maybe gives you a challenge for something like that. Now, you've heard Jeremy talk a little bit about some of the things that he did, and I also talked with a couple of my friends who are also owners, and then of course I've done IT consulting on the side and teach the entire the ITIL side of things. And a good friend of mine is named Lee Older, and he owns a company called Integration Works. In fact, you can check out integrationworks.com. They are a MSP, a managed service provider here in the U.S. And I was asking him some of the tips, and like, hey, you've been doing this since I've known you, since 1998. He stepped out working for Toshiba, and he was one of the guys in the cube going and helping people, and he decided, you know what, I'm going to do this for myself. So he and a friend started their company. And I said, what were some of the things now that you look back that you wish you knew before you get started? So we're going to kind of touch in on this, and I know Jeremy's got a couple of neat things to add as well. First is never stop learning technology. Even though you might be the best of the best of the best at something now, you want to make sure that you constantly keep your eyes peeled on what is coming down the pike.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the whole industry radically changes probably every 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, right now, gone are the days of lockdown laptops and group policies that restrict people for the most part. I'm not talking in general, but now here are the days of bring your own device and, trading files using Dropbox and, the cloud and everything. I mean, it's always changing, always something new. So you have to keep yourself on the cutting edge to know what's there, because that's going to be what your customers are asking you. And I really like the third bullet that you see on the screen there, because it hits one of the questions that I see in the queue, saying, what is the most profitable area to be in? Is it development, or is it networking, or is it server administration, all that kind of stuff? The answer to that is actually not a simple answer of, well, it's servers or development, because, I mean, the world is the landscape. Matter of fact, Chris, I don't know if you've heard of a website called elamps.com, but you can actually pick up a contractor who is just getting started for $2 an hour in development. And yet so you have to say, okay, well, is it profitable? Let me answer that question very directly. When you specialize in something, specialize in what you love, because that's going to be the most profitable thing. The fact is, people will pay for a specialist in anything a lot. The pay goes down as you're less specialized in something.
Yeah, and that kind of rolls into our fourth bullet. Decide whether you're a problem solver or a solution-minded company. In other words, are you the person that's just going in and putting out fires at a company, and then and then the next company you're putting out more fires, or are you the person that goes in and says, I'm not only going to put out the fire, I'm going to set you up so that no more fires, or at least very few fires, are going to start, and that makes you valuable. So Lee was telling me, he goes, I had to learn that early on. He goes, if I didn't, I wouldn't still be in business, because there's a lot of people that go and put out fires, but there's not too many people that go out and do the solution provider. So one of the other couple of things you need to know, and Jeremy, I know this is really good, is you need to know your audience. Now, this is from Second Life. Is Second Life even around? That's my question probably to you.
I don't know. It's out there somewhere.
But if you look at this audience, I mean, we got stuffed animals, we've got people, human beings, and everything else. If you don't know your audience and you don't know your customer base, it's very difficult for you as an IT consultant to be on top of what it is that they want, what it is that they're looking for. And so that really kind of deals with not only an audience and how to present, but also how do you sell.
Right, and let me give probably the biggest tip I can. I actually added this slide just because I knew we would tangent on these kind of things. Other end of that, and it goes right along with ITIL, is essentially create your templates. As an IT consultant, you'll start getting into multiple customers. And let me finish my word. Template. You're going to start getting into multiple customers, multiple realms of technology, and you're going to eventually hit your cap. Meaning, if you go around being all things to all people, you're going to engineer these solutions that need some kind of support, or you don't engineer it right, or you're learning yourself, so it's going to break, and you have to come back and fix it and fix it and fix it. And before long, you'll essentially reach the cap to where, as I was saying before, you'll either sell your soul, where you're working 20 hours a day, coming home, sleeping, showering, going back and working 20 more hours a day, or you'll create a template, meaning something that you know exactly how it's going to react, like Chris was saying before, where you create your model exactly what you're looking to roll out and repeat it again and again and again. This is how you become good and specialized at what you do instead of trying to be all things to all people. So create a package. Let me give you just a practical example. Let's say, I know networking better than I know any topic. And I can go into an organization from 1 to 50 people. I can go into an organization from 51 to, we'll say, 150 people, et cetera, et cetera. And I have templates designed for each one of those. Okay, for this standard of organization, this is the standard network infrastructure that I'm going to roll out. I've got my layer 3 switch, my VLAN setting up for the wireless access point. And I'm going to have a standard, my drawing tools, Chris, are not as good as the ones I usually have here. That's a WAP, by the way. I would have, okay, my layer 3 switch, I've got my firewall going right here. I have the standard, and I know exactly how much time it's going to take me to implement. I know exactly how much time it's going to take on a monthly basis. So here's the key. I know exactly how to price it. I know, okay, if I roll this out and I do it right, it's documented, it's template, it's not the different from other customers, I can price that thing at, we'll just say $100 a month maintenance fee, and I can make a good amount of money if I roll out, we'll say 20 clients at this, because I know it only takes, on average, 10 minutes a client a month to support that network as long as I do it right. So going back, Chris, there's you guys are awesome out there that are listening to us. There's just questions flooding in. Obviously, we've hit on a hot topic here.
Yes, we do.
Essentially, getting these processes down is how you make the most money and do it without sacrificing your whole life.
Yeah, and I added processes because from an ITIL background, someone I saw it kind of triggered, well, I've only got 5 people. I mean, do I really need an ITIL? And the answer is yes. Because you're not going to always have 5 people, hopefully. You're going to want to grow your company. And starting now, starting early, that is what makes the difference. Now,
Chris, I'm going to cut you off. There's actually a great question in the queue from Hassan. He's saying, how do you deal with the local competition for business? I've got a great one for that. So how do you deal with local competition? It's all about relationship. Who are you? And this, okay, Chris, I've got to take it back here. Where did we have it? Right here. Can I add to this?
Yeah.
And people. So here's the deal. Why do you not do it? You love technology, but not the business side of it, and people. Meaning, there are a lot of IT people out there. And Chris, I always try to find the most positive way to put things. But I'm just going to say this bluntly. That just, you don't like to be around them. It's kind of like you're like, you're more into the technology than you don't care about me. You just want to play with a router or a computer or things like that. So how do you overcome the local competition? You become the relationship that they go to, the person that they trust. To where when you say, hey, you got to update that server or else it's going to collapse in 2 days, they're going to trust you and go with you over the larger guy because the larger guy can't support the relationship.
Right, or really doesn't care about you. You need to build those relationships. Now, we talk about that, and one of the things that I really like this is, remember, we're talking about people skills, and we're also talking about business skills. I trust that each one of you has technology or the understanding of technology. That means that you're probably either already starting, because I've seen a couple of people going, hey, I've just started off and I'm working a day job and I'm also doing this. What else do I need to know? Know how to make a business plan. If you don't have a business plan and where your company is going, how can someone else trust you to know what's best for their company? And it's a legitimate question that you need to ask yourself before you get in and become an IT consultant. And then the other one is join Toastmasters. You remember how Jeremy was talking about, you need to like people and you need to be able to be around people. One of the things is you might be walking into a room where there is their tech, their IT director, the business owner, and they've got their arms folded and they're kind of just frowning at you because like, oh, okay, you're number 6 of people coming to us and telling us why we need to hire you to be an IT consultant. And if you don't know how to do a good presentation, if you don't know how to relate to your audience, you're sunk. It's not going to work. And so we're very serious about this here in the U.S., but this is actually an international group called Toastmasters, which teaches you how to do good audience presentations.
And it doesn't have to be always in front of a classroom. I mean, I go back to my very first classroom experience. It was petrifying. And random fact, Chris, I don't know if you know this. More people are afraid of dying. No, scratch that. Reverse it. More people are afraid of public speaking than are afraid of dying. That's how seriously petrifying it can be to be in front of people. Doesn't mean you have to get in front of a room, at least to start. It's sometimes just sitting down and having a conversation with somebody, listening and relating to their problems. Now, there's actually that picture scares me. Okay, I wasn't the prettiest guy before I got into public speaking. There's actually a question. Where did it go? There's so many questions I can't keep up.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Someone said, how do you move beyond yourself into a, so, here's you, right? You become the super rock star IT consultant. You're feeling good about your skills. You feel good, but your time, there's our 24-hour day. Your time just starts getting eaten up to where you're like, okay, I just can't do this anymore without bringing in help. Biggest question, and I would say this is the question I struggled with most when I first started growing this company. At what point do I know to add a second person? And how do I add that second armless person down there? How do I do it? Here's exactly how you do it. First off, one, you're there when you just don't have enough time to keep up with the client base you have. Now, here's the big question. The way that you do it is you find the most repeatable, templated, documented, supportable processes that you do. And literally, it starts with a time study. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of, it's a little free app, Paymo. You can go to paymoapp.com. I think they give it to you free for like one person if it's just you. But it tracks your time, and you can create all these categories, and literally a little stop, start. Do a time study of your day, and I'm talking a serious time study. Literally every minute that you do is tracked. And then you generate a report at the end of the week, and you go, okay, what did I do that someone else could do? Because here's the fact. That dude has no arms. I didn't mean to draw him that way, but that's how it came out, and it's a perfect representation, because here's what most people do and what fails as an IT consultant is they look for another person like themselves, right? When you go into IT consulting, you're like, I got to hire another me to do everything that I do. That will fail, because the fact is, if you find somebody else like you, then he's already doing what you're doing in the first place, and he's going to demand a salary so high that you can't pay that salary. So you got to find the armless dude. You got to find the guy who's like, okay, he can, and then you go to your Paymo app and you say, okay, he can write emails really well. He may not understand the technology, but boy, does he handle a lot of the customer communication. He will be my front line. She will be my person who takes the incoming call and creates the ticket and all that kind of stuff. You start breaking apart the functions that you are into the ones that are most repeatable, and then you look at it and you say, someone else can do that. Those are the ones you hand off, and that's your first hire.
There you go. And so that answers one of the questions. And so we've got some really great questions coming in here, and we apologize if we're not able to get to your question. But by the end, I know there's, where was it? Someone is asking about if there's any good blogs or websites or books and stuff like that. And one of the last questions we'll do is, I know Jeremy can think of a couple that he reads and watches and studies. But a lot of people are really dealing with on pricing and about how to obtain new clients. Okay, so here's the best thing about pricing is that if you are starting off, because the gist or the reason why we're doing this is for those of you who are getting started. So when you're getting started, where are you going to be? You are going to be local, right? So, so here you are. In this case, we're in Phoenix, right? And so guess what? Jeremy and I's first clients, where were they? They were in Phoenix. I was actually working for a group of chiropractic doctors who wanted to put in wireless, and they wanted to add a server-based application that everybody said that they needed to use. And they're not technical. They help, help heal people. That's not what they're doing. So guess what? I started off in Phoenix. Well, then what happened is because that was hugely successful, I got a call from another series, and this is now in Tennessee. Tennessee is obviously in a whole other state, and so now I've gone beyond my local until finally there is actually one of the guys in Tennessee actually moved to the UK. So where did I start? You start local. You build your client base, and then word of mouth is going to be one of the big things that help you. So there's obviously word of mouth. And then, Jeremy, what's another good way of getting clients? I know word of mouth is obviously the big one, but what's some of the others that we can give these guys?
Honestly, until Chris, I'm looking at the questions coming in, and I just want to hit them in rapid fire. But I will tell you, word of mouth is where you should live and die. or more specifically, that will either make you live or it will make you die. I have grown a company into the multiple $1,000,000 income range, meaning the company itself is taking in millions of dollars a year. And we've never done any advertising. We've never done any marketing. We don't have business cards. Are you aghast? Our website is pathetic. It's something that I created myself 5 years ago, and I'm not a web developer. I look at it and I'm like, I sure hope somebody doesn't go to our website because they will not become a client. Word of mouth is how you live or die. So, Chris, I'm looking at these questions and I'm looking at our time. And I'm like, I want to go at these with a rapid fire pace. I'm going to take them from the top down. Chris, how do you know, not you, Chris, other Chris, Chris McConley, how do you know what to charge your first client? You don't, and you won't for a long time. It's creating a pricing plan for your products will be something that comes years after you start. You use a gut level, what do you feel is fair for you, and what do you feel is fair for them? How much time do you give to IT consulting, says Yanish. The business wants you available to be there 24/7, but how do you manage? So how do you manage a day job and consulting? That's essentially, you're going to reach a point, and I'll be dead honest with you, where you got to take the leap. Where you're going to say, okay, I'll add one consultant, not consultant, one client, 2 clients, 3 clients, and you get to the point where you're like, okay, this hurts. I don't want to work consulting and my job, and that's where you sit down and you literally say, I either need to go part-time or I need to quit. And I need to take the leap, and there may be that 1 year where I go nuts. I'm eating ramen noodles and stuff like that to keep going while I'm running through this.
Yeah, and then I think that also answers part of the questions with Martin. How did you gentlemen promote or advertise your IT consulting? We pretty much just kind of shared with you. I started off with a friend who needed help. Jeremy was pretty much, I think, the same. Zaviso Matua says, to be a well-rounded IT consultant, what are the bread and butter concepts you need to be proficient in? When you're starting off, I would say the base small business is where you want to go, which means you at least have to have a fairly good general idea of servers, virtualization, cloud, because that's the big thing, and networking is always what everything lies on. So it's always good to have a little bit of that, which and I think Michael's question comes up next for you, Jeremy, because you are a CCIE. I mean, should he jump for the CCIE or stick where he's at?
Yeah, the CCIE will teach you how to be scrappy, which is probably the best skill that you need when you're consulting, is the ability to be scrappy and to be confident in yourself that you're going to figure it out. So, that will really help. How much time, and Steve and I answered that question, how much time should I spend on a website, business cards, marketing? None at all. Start with a
now I am going to
Chris, don't contradict
just a little bit. I'm going to contradict you just a second.
Don't contradict me.
There are cultures where if you don't have a business card or an associate, nobody will talk to you. So know your culture, know what works, and go with it. But for the most part here in the U.S. and I would say in the Western world, concentrate more on what Jeremy was telling you.
Lies. I'm just kidding. No, I'll tell you, my story is not uncommon to other consultants. How did I get started? Who was my first client? Guy from my church. I was teaching a Sunday school class. I was talking to him, what do you do? What's your problems? And he shared with me, we're using one copy of this is back in 1998-ish. He's like, yeah, we got one copy of Microsoft Office we use for all our computers. I was like, that's illegal, bro. And that's how it all started. And from there, word of mouth just continued to spread.
All right. City says, how to scale from a one-man show to a regular-sized company with multiple employees. Is there a book out there? Oh, there are a ton of books out there, City, that all tell you that, if you read my book, this is going to make you better at what you do. I say learn from those around you that you trust and that you see are being successful. That is always working. Now, Pavel's, kind of touching in on something that I'm big on, and that is, do we need to know ITIL in a team of about 5 engineers? Actually, I think I answered that question, Pavel. Yes, learn it now and continue to use it. Build your processes now. And this is what my friend Lee said as well. Have your processes in place so that way when you do expand and you get to be like Jeremy with 20 employees, you start now and it makes it that much easier when we go out. So, Jeremy, I want to give you the last question. Find your last question because I'm looking at the clock and we do need to bring it to a close.
All right, hang on. Let me see. What was the pricing plan? Compare the competition. A lot of these, there's actually a lot of questions marked in the questions that we've answered, but that's okay. Okay, I'm just going to grab one. There's so many here. I'm just going to take a tab. Veliko Petrovic. I wish, Chris, you are the man with the names. I don't know how you said half the names.
I wish.
Veliko. Okay, you know who I'm. Do I have to be an expert?
Yes.
Thank you. Do I have to be an expert in almost all areas of IT consulting to begin consulting? I mean, do I need a Anthony, you can't mark it red when I'm reading it. Where'd it go?
It's under answered.
Okay, thank you. Said, if I need to recommend a switch, a router, a NAS, a UPS, a notebook, an IP phone, how do I cope with it? Okay, good question. That's a great one for me to end with. So you're going to get stuff that you don't know. And this is where that all night, every night kind of feeling comes in. You're going to come to a client, they're going to be like, hey, can you deal with our IP phones as well? Or what IP phone do you recommend or something? Now, here's the dilemma that you have as an IT consultant. If you say, nope, I don't deal with that, you now risk them bringing in another IT consultant who's going to steal your business from you because he's going to know how to do the IP phones and the stuff that you do, and that's a risk. So the most common thing is you say, well, let me get back to you on that. That's when you come to CBT Nuggets. That's when you go into Google mode and research what is the best XYZ. You set it up in a little test lab, and then you say, you know what, I can make that work. And if you are 60% of the way there, meaning I'm 60% sure this is going to be a solid fit for this organization, go with it, and now you have your first beta client to create your product.
Wow. And, man, I wish we had more time to answer questions, but I know that we've already gone 3 minutes past our allotted time. But here's a couple of things that I want to do. And, Jeremy, go ahead and stick your Twitter account here. And it's always good to go ahead and just, I'll put mine on here. Mine is at Chris_CBTN. That's mine, and Jeremy can put his in there. If you have some questions, we don't have all the answers, but we will at least try to point you in the right direction. And that is the weirdest @ symbol I've ever seen, Jeremy.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to write it nicely. I actually, while you were talking, I had to go look up my Twitter name. I didn't know what it was. I got it.
All right, there we go. So that does it for us. On behalf of Jeremy and all of us at CBT Nuggets, we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to come hang out with us. Check out Jeremy's training for Cisco. I have the ITIL stuff coming up, and it's going to be good. But Anthony Tocatli, we're handing it back over to you.
Thank you guys so much for being willing to do this presentation. That was awesome. Everybody, thank you for joining us today. Once again, just want to remind you that a recording will be posted to our blog, blog.cbtnuggets.com tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your week.